I found out my boyfriend was cheating with my sister, and then things got way worse. I never thought I'd be the kind of person to post something like this online. I always saw myself as grounded, realistic, and maybe a little cautious when it came to men. But here I am. So buckle up. My boyfriend, let's call him Ethan, seemed perfect. Funny, charming, and impossibly thoughtful. We'd been together for 3 years, living together for 2, and everyone said we were couple goals. Honestly, I believed it until the day I found the first text. It wasn't even a big deal at first. A message notification popped up on his phone. I can't stop thinking about last night. You were incredible. I froze. My first thought was, maybe it's just a friend joking? But then I noticed it was from a number I didn't recognize. I waited. And of course he noticed me staring. Babe, what's up? Nothing, I muttered, trying to keep my voice steady. That night I couldn't sleep. Something didn't feel right. And instinctively, I did something I never thought I'd do. I checked the messages again when he was in the shower. What I saw made my stomach drop. It wasn't just a random number, it was my sister Lily. I stared at the screen, trying to process. My sister, my boyfriend. I wanted to throw up. I mean, how could this even happen? They were supposed to be family, so I confronted them. I texted Lily first because I couldn't handle Ethan alone. What the hell is going on? Her reply, I didn't plan this. He came to me, I didn't stop him. Please don't tell anyone, I couldn't believe it. But I also felt something darker, a strange curiosity. I decided I needed proof. I couldn't just take their word for it. I started following them very carefully, watching their messages, trying to see if this was a one-time thing or something bigger. And then the messages got even worse. It wasn't just romantic, it was scheming, planning. They were talking about how to get me out of the way, how to keep me distracted, and something about an inheritance. Wait, inheritance? I had no idea what they were talking about. And then it hit me. My dad had been ill and there was money involved. This wasn't just cheating. This was a full-blown betrayal plot. I confronted Ethan. I had to. Why? Why her? And why now? He laughed. Not nervously. Not apologetically. He laughed. You don't get it, do you? She's different. She's exciting. And we've been planning... Well, you wouldn't understand. What planning? I screamed. That's when he dropped it. We're taking the house. We're taking everything. You'll see. Don't worry. It'll be quick. I realized at that moment, I wasn't just heartbroken. I was in danger. Here's the insane part. I never expected my best friend Sarah to get involved. I called her, panicked, telling her everything. She told me one simple thing that stopped me cold. You need proof, and maybe a little revenge. So I did the only thing I could think of. I created a fake account and started messaging Lily, pretending to be someone who wanted in on their plan. I wanted to see how deep this rabbit hole went. They took the bait. They started telling me things, names, dates, even details about where Ethan hid the money. Here's where it got really insane. While I was doing all this, I overheard my dad on the phone. He was talking to my mom, divorced, not in the house, about Ethan. Turns out Ethan was married. Not just married. His wife had vanished mysteriously 6 months ago. And Lily knew about it. I couldn't even process that. Not only were they cheating on me, they were involved in something illegal. Possibly criminal. I decided to act. I couldn't just sit there. I enlisted Sarah to help me gather evidence. Cameras, audio, screenshots, everything. I even recorded a conversation where Ethan bragged about getting rid of obstacles. Then I did the unthinkable. I told them I was moving out and left a hidden camera in the living room. What I saw next made my jaw drop. They weren't just talking about stealing money. They were planning to fake my departure, stage a car accident, and make it look like I ran off with some ex-boyfriend. I had to act fast. I called the police. I showed them the recordings, and surprise, surprise. Ethan and Lily weren't just lovers. They were part of a larger scam ring. Apparently, they had been targeting families with money for years. Ethan and Lily were arrested. I found out my dad had been secretly investigating Ethan for months, suspecting he was dangerous. I moved out. I stayed with Sarah for a while. And every time I look back, I still can't believe what happened. Cheating. Betrayal. Near criminal conspiracy. And the person you trust most, your sister, could be part of it. It's been a year. I've cut ties with Lily. Ethan is in prison. And honestly, I've learned something. Trust your instincts. And sometimes, the worst betrayal comes from the people you love most. So if you're reading this, remember, pay attention to the signs. And maybe don't date someone your sister secretly hates. Okay, now let's move on to the next story. That was intense. I thought my best friend was my ride or die until she stole my boyfriend and everything else. I always thought of myself as lucky. I had a boyfriend, Jake, who seemed genuinely great, and a best friend, Emma, who I'd known since middle school. We shared everything: secrets, makeup, heartbreaks, and more than one awkward high school party. So when things started feeling off, I couldn't process it. It all started with small things. Jake would get unusually defensive whenever I mentioned Emma. Emma, on the other hand, started joking about how cute Jake was. Just little comments at first, I brushed it off. I trusted them both. It was a Friday night. Jake was supposed to come over, and Emma was helping me set up for movie night. I was halfway through making popcorn when my phone buzzed. A photo Jake and Emma at some coffee shop. Laughing, hugging, close. Way too close for what I thought was just friends. I froze. My heart hammered. I texted Jake, "Why are you at a coffee shop with Emma?" His reply, "We just ran into each other. Nothing's going on, babe." I wanted to believe him. I really did. But the pit in my stomach told me I shouldn't. I started noticing more patterns. Emma texting him when I wasn't around. Jake being secretive about his phone. Little things, but they piled up. One night, I decided to check. I know, snooping is bad, but desperation makes you do things. And that's when I found it. The messages I can't stop thinking about last night. "You're amazing. Signed? Emma." I sat on the floor staring at my phone, shaking. My best friend. My boyfriend. Both lying to me. The next day, I confronted them. I needed answers. Jake swore it was a mistake. Emma cried, "I didn't mean for this to happen." I was lonely. I'm sorry. I wanted to scream, to punch, to cry. Instead, I walked away. I told them both I needed space, but the universe wasn't done with me yet. I started to notice something strange. Emma started acting, guilty in a weird, manipulative way. She'd apologize, but also drop hints that I was overreacting. Then came the emails. Mysterious ones addressed to me, claiming Jake had been hiding something else. Financial troubles, lies about work, a secret girlfriend in another city. I checked. And it was all true. So not only had Emma stolen him, Jake had been lying to me for months. I didn't know whether to cry or laugh. But I had an idea. I started playing along with Emma's manipulations, pretending to be crushed, pretending I was losing it. Meanwhile, I documented everything. Screenshots, recordings, the works. And then I dropped the bomb. I showed her parents. Her boyfriend? Yes, she was also dating someone else. Classic double life. And Jake's family, chaos erupted. The friendships, the relationships, all of it crumbled in front of me. Here's where it got wild. Emma wasn't just a backstabbing friend. Turns out she had a history. Multiple friends, boyfriends, even coworkers who claimed she'd done the same thing. Stolen people from those closest to her. Jake, meanwhile, disappeared for a week. No messages, no calls. Until one night he shows up at my apartment, apologizing. I was scared. I didn't know how to fix it. I laughed. Honestly, I did. It was absurd. Emma moved away, transferred schools, moved with her family, and I never spoke to her again. Jake tried to rebuild. But I realized something important. I couldn't trust him anymore. And I sure as hell couldn't trust ride or die friends. I threw myself into work, hobbies, and my real friendships. And now, looking back, I sometimes wonder if the universe engineered that whole chaos just to teach me a lesson. Loyalty is rare, betrayal is everywhere, and intuition is your best weapon. I don't post stories like this often, but if you're reading this, take it from me. The people you love the most can hurt you the deepest. And sometimes the lies aren't obvious. You have to pay attention. Also, always screenshot everything. Trust me on this one. Trust me on this one. Yikes, on to the next story. I found out my boyfriend was cheating with my cousin, and I was pregnant. I always thought my life was normal. I had a steady boyfriend, Alex, who seemed genuinely perfect. We'd been together for 2 years, living in a small apartment near my work. Everything felt stable, boring maybe, but safe. Then I found out I was pregnant. I was ecstatic, scared, nervous, all the emotions at once. I told Alex immediately. He smiled, hugged me, said, "We're going to figure this out together." I believed him, but the first red flag came 2 weeks later. I was scrolling through Instagram one night when I saw a tagged photo of Alex with my cousin Chloe. They were at some coffee shop, sitting way too close, looking way too intimate. I froze. Chloe had always been close. We were cousins, basically like sisters. But something in that photo didn't sit right. I confronted Alex the next day. "Why are you hanging out with Chloe alone?" "Nothing's going on," he said. "We were just talking." She needed advice. I wanted to believe him. I really did. Over the next few weeks, I started noticing small things. Texts from Chloe on Alex's phone. Random late-night messages. He started acting defensive. Then came the bombshell. I accidentally saw a message while he was in the shower. "I can't wait to see you tonight. I missed you." Signed, Chloe. I couldn't breathe. My cousin, my boyfriend. My pregnancy, I confronted Chloe first. She didn't even deny it. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she said. I don't know. It felt exciting. "I didn't think you'd find out." I wanted to scream. I wanted to hit her. Instead, I stayed quiet, numb. Alex didn't even try to hide it when I confronted him. He looked almost proud. "We can't help who we're attracted to," he said. Then, the real twist hit. I was 7 weeks pregnant when my mom called. Chloe had confided in her, not about me, but about Alex's other secret. Turns out, Alex wasn't just cheating with Chloe. He had a second girlfriend, someone I'd never met, in another city, and Chloe had been helping him hide it. I couldn't believe it. My boyfriend, my cousin, my life, everything was unraveling. I couldn't just sit there. I documented everything. Screenshots, hidden recordings, texts. I even got Chloe to admit to her part in a private conversation, which I recorded. Then I sent all of it to Alex's second girlfriend. She had no idea. Her response? Shock, heartbreak, and an immediate cutoff. Suddenly, Alex was alone and scared. Here's where it got insane. My aunt, Chloe's mom, got wind of everything. She confronted Chloe. Chloe admitted everything. And then she dropped the final twist. Alex had been planning to take all the money from our apartment lease and some family inheritance after I gave birth. I was stunned. It wasn't just cheating. It was manipulation, greed, and betrayal on every level. I kicked Alex out. Chloe moved away for college and stopped contacting me. I focused on my pregnancy, my family, and my friends. But the best part? Alex thought he could recover. He thought he could apologize, act sad, and come back. He didn't realize that all the screenshots, recordings, and messages I had were evidence. If he tried anything shady, he'd be exposed. So what did I learn? People can betray you in ways you'd never imagine, even family. Trust your instincts, they're usually right. Documentation is your best friend. I'm due in 3 months. And honestly, I feel stronger than I ever have. I survived betrayal, deceit, and manipulation, and I'm ready for the next chapter of my life. Alone but free. If you're reading this and dealing with cheating, betrayal, or family drama, know that you're not alone. And sometimes the people you trust most are the ones you need to watch out for the most. Okay, now let's move on to the next story. My dream job gave me my worst nightmare, cheating, lies, and a scam I never saw coming. Okay, deep breath. I never thought I'd be that girl posting a novel to Reddit, but after everything that happened this year, I need to get it out. I'll start at the beginning. I'd just landed what I thought was my dream job at a small marketing firm downtown. It wasn't glamorous, but the pay was decent and the people seemed friendly. Especially one person, Evan. Evan was one of those coworkers everyone liked. Tall, funny in a dad joke way, always bringing extra coffees for people. He'd been with the company for 5 years and basically ran the social media department. When he offered to show me the ropes, I didn't think twice. For the first few weeks, everything felt perfect. I was learning, laughing, and even staying late some nights just to impress him. He'd tease me about being the office overachiever. I told myself it was harmless flirtation. He had a girlfriend, Maya, and I had a boyfriend, Ryan. Still, those late nights started to feel different. The way he'd lean close to look at my screen, the compliments about my perfume, the accidental brush of his hand. I kept telling myself I was imagining it. Then one Friday, we got drinks after work with the team. One drink turned into 4, people drifted off, and it ended up just being me and Evan at the bar. He asked if I wanted to split a cab, and I said yes. That cab ride. I should have known. We barely spoke, just sat in silence with that heavy electric tension between us. When the driver dropped us off near my place, I expected a polite goodbye. But he walked me to my door, said, "You're really easy to be around," and then he kissed me. It wasn't a little goodnight kiss either. It was the kind of kiss that makes your brain short-circuit. I pulled away immediately, panicked, and mumbled something like, "We can't do this." He nodded, apologized, said it was a mistake. I told myself it was just one bad decision, except it wasn't. On Monday, he acted like nothing happened, but started messaging me all day. Compliments, jokes, little good morning texts. It felt intoxicating and wrong, and I hated how much I looked forward to them. A week later, we were staying late again, finishing a campaign. The office was quiet. Lights dimmed, and one thing led to another. I don't need to spell it out, but that was the night everything really changed. After that, we were a secret. Lunches alone, whispered conversations, deleting messages like our lives depended on it. It was messy and stupid and addictive, but soon it wasn't just an affair. Evan started talking about a side project he was working on, a startup idea, supposedly a client referral app. He said he trusted me more than anyone and wanted me to help him. It sounded exciting, and he swore he'd pay me under the table while he got the business off the ground. I said yes. We set up accounts, transferred data, even used some of my personal banking info to verify the system. It all sounded legit, until I started noticing weird withdrawals, small ones at first, then bigger. When I asked Evan, he said, "It's just holding fees. It'll even out next week." Spoiler, it didn't. Then came the twist I didn't see coming. I was late. As in really late. One pregnancy test later, and my entire world spun, I told Evan. He stared at me for a long time, then said quietly, "You need to get rid of it." I was shaking. I told him I needed time to think, but he panicked, suddenly worried about how this could ruin everything. He begged me not to tell anyone, especially Maya or anyone at work. The next day, he stopped coming in. His phone went to voicemail. Emails bounced. And when HR asked if I knew why he'd resigned suddenly, I realized he'd vanished. And remember that side project? It wasn't a project at all. It was a scam. He'd been siphoning money from clients using fake accounts, and because I'd helped, even unknowingly, my name was all over the documents. When I realized Evan had disappeared, I went into full panic mode. I tried calling, texting, emailing, nothing. The man who'd been in my life every single day for 6 months had vanished overnight. The following week, HR called me into a meeting. 2 people from corporate compliance were there. They asked if I'd ever worked with Evan on a side contract. My heart sank. They showed me a list of fake invoices and client payments, accounts that had been rerouted to personal bank numbers. And my name was on several of them. I explained that Evan had asked me to verify accounts and that I had no idea it was illegal. They didn't look convinced. When I got home, I checked my own account. The little withdrawals had turned into thousands. I realized he'd been moving money through me. I filed a police report that night. I also told them I might be pregnant, because at that point, I didn't know if he'd stolen my identity or something even worse. The next few weeks were a blur. The company froze my pay while they investigated. My landlord threatened eviction. Ryan, my ex by now, found out about the affair through office gossip and blocked my number. And then one morning, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. Subject, "I'm sorry. Body, you'll understand soon." It wasn't supposed to go like this. No explanation, no contact info. Just that. A few days later, an investigator called to tell me Evan had been traced to another city. He'd opened multiple accounts under fake names, all tied to the same scheme. My case was being treated as cooperative witness, not suspect. Relief doesn't even describe it. I'd been terrified I'd go to jail for something I didn't do. Fast forward 4 months. I'd moved back in with my mom, trying to rebuild my life. I was about 5 months pregnant and finally starting to accept it. Then one evening, a letter showed up in the mailbox. No return address. Inside was a single page in Evan's handwriting. "I never meant to drag you into this. I'm turning myself in. I left something for you. I checked the locker at Union Station." My heart was pounding. I knew it could be dangerous, but curiosity won. The next day, I went to the station. Inside the locker was an envelope with a money order for $7,000 and a note for the baby. I'm sorry. That was the last I ever heard from him. It's been 2 years now. I have a little boy named Noah. I finished my degree, got a new job, and finally started therapy. Sometimes I still get letters from the restitution office. Evan pled guilty to multiple counts of fraud and identity theft. People ask if I'd ever forgive him. Honestly, I already did. Not for him, for me. Because holding on to that kind of betrayal will eat you alive. If anyone reading this ever finds themselves swept up in something that feels too good to be true, please listen to that gut feeling. Cheating, manipulation, scams, they don't start with lies. They start with charm. I thought I was getting my dream job and a soulmate. What I got was a cautionary tale. Okay, now let's move on to the next story. That was intense. So, I don't even know where to start, but if I don't get this off my chest, I might actually lose my mind. 2 years ago, I met Adam through mutual friends. He was charming, funny, and had this way of making you feel like you were the only person in the room. I'd just gotten out of a long-term relationship and wasn't looking for anything serious. But somehow, Adam made me drop my guard. He told me he worked in digital consulting, which sounded vague but believable enough. He always had multiple phones, nice clothes, and just enough mystery to seem successful. When we started dating, he'd do things like pay for dinner, surprise me with flowers, fix stuff in my apartment. He looked like the definition of put together. My friends loved him. My mom even said, "He's the first guy who treats you right." I wish I'd trusted my instincts more, because even then, something always felt slightly off. About 3 months in, he started taking small control moves, little things I brushed off at the time. He'd say stuff like, "Don't use that credit card, I'll cover it. You really shouldn't be on Instagram so much. I can manage your bills better. I'm good with finances." It sounded caring, protective even. And I was tired. I worked long shifts at a hospital. And having someone help with bills and budgeting felt like a relief. So I gave him access to my online banking just to transfer things faster. I even sent him photos of my driver's license once when he said he needed it to verify something for a credit score check. Yeah, I know. I can feel the collective facepalm from everyone reading this. 6 months in, I started noticing weird things. Emails from banks I didn't recognize. A credit inquiry for a car loan I never applied for. Packages showing up addressed to me, but with items I never ordered. When I asked Adam about it, he brushed it off like it was no big deal. "Oh, babe, that's probably just a mix-up. I used your name once for a delivery, because my business address doesn't take personal shipments." At the time, it sounded plausible. He was so calm, always had an answer for everything, but then the real chaos started. I got a call from a collections agency asking about a $12,000 line of credit in my name. I laughed at first. I thought it was a scam call. But then the rep read out my social insurance number, my old address, my birthday. I felt the blood drain from my body. I called Adam in tears. He stayed quiet for a moment and then said, "Okay, don't freak out. I can fix this. But you have to trust me." He told me to wait a few days before calling anyone. He said he'd talk to his contacts. That was the moment my gut screamed at me that something was seriously wrong. I ignored him and went straight to the bank. They confirmed that 3 credit cards and 2 loans had been opened under my name in the past 4 months. My bank froze my accounts and told me I'd need to file a police report. When I confronted Adam in person that night, his whole demeanor changed. Gone was the calm, soft-spoken guy. He went cold, defensive, and scary quiet. He said, "If you call the cops, you're going to regret it." I left my apartment that night and stayed with my sister. The next morning, Adam was gone. His phone disconnected. His socials wiped. Then the weird stuff started happening again. I got emails from loan companies asking for verification. My credit score dropped over 200 points. Someone had even changed my mailing address in the system. When the police finally tracked the IP addresses used to apply for the loans, they traced back to my apartment Wi-Fi. It looked like I had done it to myself. I was under investigation for fraud. It took almost 4 months to clear my name. I had to get lawyers, spend hours with investigators, and dig through every single email, every receipt, every login. Turns out, Adam had been doing this to multiple women, using their identities to open accounts, build fake credit histories, and then draining them before disappearing. But here's the wildest part. He wasn't even his real name. Adam Carter was an alias. His real name was Dylan Reeves, and he had a warrant out in 2 other provinces for fraud, identity theft, and impersonation. They eventually found him because he tried to scam someone new using my name again. He got caught when the woman he was seeing recognized me from a Facebook photo I'd posted months before with him in the background. She messaged me and we compared notes. He'd told her the same story: digital consultant, credit repair, trust me with your bills. She saved everything and went to the police. That woman might have actually saved my life. It's been a year now. I've spent months rebuilding my credit, my mental health, and honestly, my trust in people. There are still days I panic when an unknown number calls. I still double-check every account, every email, every line of credit. I learned that emotional manipulation and identity theft are 2 sides of the same coin. They both require complete trust, and they both destroy it when misused. I was in love with a man who used my heart as a tool and my name as currency. 2 months ago, I got a call from a private investigator. Apparently, Dylan took a plea deal, but get this, he tried to claim I was part of it. Said I was his accomplice. Thankfully, my lawyer had already built a mountain of proof against that claim. But the investigator said something that stuck with me. He told me, he's done this before, and he'll do it again. People like him don't stop. They just switch names. I still don't know what's scarier, that he's in prison, or that one day he'll get out. If anyone's reading this and thinks that could never happen to me, please, learn from me. Scammers don't look like strangers on the internet. Sometimes they look like the person who kisses you goodnight and remembers your coffee order. I lost money, credit, and peace of mind, but I got something back that's worth even more: awareness. And if you've ever been through something like this, you're not dumb or naive or weak. You were targeted by someone who knew exactly how to make you feel safe. So yeah, that's the story of how my ex didn't just break my heart. He stole my name, my identity, and almost my future. And I'm still picking up the pieces.